So I guess we'll start with today on Business Under Fire. We have Jack Scanio here from beautiful New Braunfels, Texas. Jack's been in land development, real estate, stuff like that for how many years? He can't count past 5.
I can't. I'm trying to figure it out. That's 2005. What is it now?
2025.
Okay, so that's 20 years. So I can't count.
Isn't it wild that we were like 18, 15, 20, not that long ago. And then you look back at how long you've been working on this stuff for yourself. And now it's like 20 to 25 years.
Yeah. You think about that stuff when your parents or the old timers say it. I've been here for 35 years. I've been doing this stuff for 40 years. And then, then you start saying it. You're like, holy cow.
Or what I'm saying now is that my daughter is a junior in high school.
Oh, that's scary.
And then you just remember when we were juniors in high school and you're going, how the hell do I have a junior in high school now? Time flies.
Yeah, but we were such good kids. We never got in trouble.
Angels.
Just
angels.
Perfect little angels.
I don't even know how our parents put up with us.
I don't either. That's why they shipped me off to boarding school.
How do you control outlaws like us? Like, what if your daughter just is an outlaw?
I think the world today controls outlaws. I think the world we grew up in, we thought we were outlaws. But then if you look at like our parents' generation, they got away with a lot more than we did. Yeah. And then the next generation is going to get away with a lot less because it's getting stricter. I mean, that's kind of the way I see it.
And there's cameras everywhere. Like you couldn't go ding dong ditch is the politically correct word for knocking on doors and running. Like you'd be caught on everybody's ring cam.
Yeah.
I wish you could go back to the early 90s and have videos of us papering houses.
That's exactly what I was going for. I said we used to roll my buddy's his parents' 1978 Lincoln out the driveway and we'd push it down with just buttloads of toilet paper in the back and just wreak havoc.
We would stand at Albertsons and have people go buy just massive amounts of toilet paper because they would tell us no.
Yeah.
And then we would buy it and we would, oh man, we need videos of that.
And they knew what you're up to. I mean, it's like you don't have an irritable bowel or something. I mean, it's like, come on, you can't take that many turds.
Or streaking the high school football game.
Never did that.
Well, I was the driver one time. I never got caught. But the two guys ran their mouths so much that they got caught. And I had left work in the middle of work, like a shift break. I went and picked them up, ran them, and maybe my alibi was I was at work.
That's how you got away with it?
Yeah. So today on Business Under Fire, we're going to go. I told Jack when I talked on the phone that I don't want to just sit there and pick his brain on business stuff. But, the point of the podcast is really to get through, kind of like I told you, like if somebody's looking at real estate investing or development or anything, and there's anything that you say on there that lights any type of spark in them or gives them any kind of an inch forward, then we have done our job, which I don't know if this is a job or volunteering. We're doing volunteer work right now because we're not getting paid for it.
No, this is purely fun.
Yeah.
For one. Hey, by the way, when is Theo Vaughn coming to interview me? Is
he called in sick today. He called in sick.
Okay. I was just wondering.
What's the name of the really popular country, Lainey Wilson? I saw a little clip with Theo Vaughn, and Theo says, he goes, "Is that hair real?" And she goes, "No, that's not real hair. It's horse hair." And he goes, "There's probably a horse that's happy to be your hair, And then he goes, "Nah, like a horse." He's always got funny shit to say.
He's always got something to say. I had to throw that in there.
Well, he's not coming.
Yeah, that's okay.
This runway's not long enough for him anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. I get it.
But give us a quick rundown on what your career is and what you have been doing to make a living for the past 20 years. You know, give us the cliff notes real fast.
Yeah, when I got out of school in 2005, I immediately got my real estate license, right before I graduated. Didn't really know what I was going to do. A family friend is a developer that has done a lot of projects in San Antonio, New Braunfels, kind of all Central Texas. And he interviewed me, he's a family friend, and his name's Tony Eugenio. And he said, "You want to come work for $24,000 a year?"
Yes.
I said, absolutely. That sounds like a lot of money.
Yeah.
I was like, it's a paycheck,
Yeah.
And so I started working for him, and basically is just kind of an assistant to development projects. And he does single family. So, homes and some mixed use stuff, but mainly single family homes.
But how important was it that I just read something about this earlier today about a secretary that listened to her boss and all the investing and buying, and he was spending millions on these things, and the secretary was spending just a little bit of money on the same deal. So instead of going in to that position as a $24,000 a year position, you had your eyes open to what they were doing.
Oh, yeah.
So not only you weren't just getting a paycheck, you're watching every single thing that this guy's doing.
That's exactly what I did.
And
I watched.
Mm-hmm.
I sat in the back and I watched and made sure that and back then doing things was, if there was no GIS, there was no database for county records and stuff like that. I mean, I'd have to come down here to Guadalupe or come out or whatever county it was and go look at old blue screens, screenshots of stuff. And so it was very hard to get information. So like in our business, in the land business, it was very difficult because if you weren't knocking door to door, you had to go down and get the information from the county clerk's office. And I mean, just it seemed like, you're back in the ancient times.
Crazy.
Yeah, because now everything's at the touch of a finger. I mean, if you want to say, "Hey, who owns this property?" Boom, 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 boom. You're there.
Yeah.
And it would take all day, if not multiple days, to find that kind of stuff. So
you started working for Tony, and he was doing, what was he up to?
So he was doing development in San Antonio, but the project we were working on was Pecan Crossing, which you probably know, over there at 725 and County Line Road in New Braunfels.
Yeah.
So that was the Klein tract. It was 85 acres. And
was their last name Klein?
The last name was Klein. Yeah,
Okay.
which I think is the same as a Klein Road. But anyways, so he bought that property
as bare dirt.
And I helped him just with the entitlements. And so what entitlements entail is just basically, we hire an engineer, or he hires an engineer, I should say. I assist with, if it's permitting, whatever it is, to get in through the city process. So, that property was an agricultural zoning. So we have to go to city council, planning and zoning, get it changed to residential.
How long does that process take?
Usually, they used to say it takes 90 days. Who knows? Because at this point in time, if you get a lot of flack, then the P&Z board,
planning and zoning.
Yeah, planning and zoning. We'll throw it back, and then you'll have to go back and do it again. And a lot of it is opposition from just locals. Karens, lots of Karens out there.
Yeah,
I get it. I mean, what the biggest thing that I've always gotten is that someone thinks when they buy a house that field next to them is open space. That's where I like to look at birds and deer and stuff. That's not supposed to be developed. It's going to flood my property. Blah blah blah. You're like, but the thing that I always fight back with is that you're a landowner and you have your property rights. So it's not, you don't have the right to tell the adjacent landowner that they don't have the right to sell their property just because you don't want to see it developed.
Yeah.
And that's a tough thing. And I say, well, if you don't want it developed, then buy it.
Yeah.
You know,
we don't have that option.
I mean, I've run into that several times where they said, well, this is green space. I said, no, it's actually not, you know? But it's trying to find that, you know, you got to be really careful because you want to find that happy medium, you know? And some people say, okay, well, you know, we don't want a storage complex. Okay, well, I won't build a storage complex. I'm going to build single family housing because that's what it's zoned for. Well, we don't want that either. And then it goes around and around, and then finally you come to some sort of agreement.
Is that what happened on Pecan Crossing?
No, really not on that one.
What year was that?
That was 2006,
because
probably.
those houses are old now.
I know.
They're not old, but it was a while back.
Yeah, it was 20 years, or 15, 20 years ago.
So you started, how long did you work for Tony doing this stuff, and what else did you learn with him?
Well, I stayed with him for 3 years, but I was working with First American Commercial Property Group, which is who he was with and who I held my license with, and I still work with those guys. And in 2008, the market crashed, and that's kind of where he went one way and said, do you want to come with me or do you want to stay and just do brokerage with the guys? Which brokerage is just doing commercial real estate, as a residential realtor or a commercial realtor, same thing. You're just working for commissions. Yeah.
So First American will find buyers, find people that are sellers, list their properties. So you're working on that?
Yeah, I was working on that. I thought things were going pretty good. In 2007, on the west side of New Braunfels, I made a cold call to a person who I didn't think would sell the 200-acre corner. Am I allowed to say the names of these people?
You can say whatever you want. We just have to pay for it later.
Well, they owned the 200-acre corner. He's a billionaire.
Corner where?
Where the West Point development is, where the HEB is now, on the west side of town at 46 and 337.
Ah.
So Tony said, don't bother. That's Graham Weston. He's a billionaire.
Yeah.
And he goes, and at that point I was so hungry, I said, I don't care. I'll call the billionaire. And I did. He goes, meet me down at 112 East Pecan, downtown San Antonio. And I ended up getting to his attorney.
How old are you at this time?
I'm like 23. And
just called him.
Just cold called the billionaire, got to his attorney, and somehow he says, okay, fine. Do you have anybody, ready to buy this? And I said, yeah, sure. And I really didn't at the time, but I had a couple people that I thought maybe would be interested. So I go downtown, I go up to the top floor, helicopter flies in, lands on the roof, and it's Weston. And I'm sitting here, clammy hands, like.
Were you dressed nice at least?
Yes, I dressed way nicer back then.
Thank God. Yeah. Thank God.
And they said, okay, well, bring us your best shot. It's not going to be ready to be sold for another 6 months. And
were they developing it, or
no,
it was just raw land?
It was just raw land, but they own thousands of acres down here on the between here and Marion and all that stuff.
I know that. I didn't know they owned on the other side of HEB.
Yeah, they owned that. Granger Weston is their father, who historically has bought a ton of stuff over the years. Which oddly enough, I believe they're from like England, and they owned like a cookie company. That's where they made all their money, cookies.
I thought he made his money at Rackspace.
Well, so yes, Graham owns Rackspace, but the money from Europe was
from cookies.
Cookies.
Wow,
is what I've been told.
That's what Pablo Escobar used to say too.
I got a plane full of
sugar cookies. We're running sugar cookies to the tune of $450 million a day.
They're really yummy.
Yeah. They have a little bit more sugar in them than you might need, and they're highly addictive.
I'll take a couple boxes.
I'll have a few boxes. Consequently, I'm going to need a few more boxes tomorrow.
Keep it coming. Oh, God.
So you're sitting up in Graham Weston's office at 23 years old.
Yeah.
Did you take him any cookies?
Jack,
I like working with you.
You know what's funny is when you don't know exactly what you're getting into, you don't really have a lot of fear.
Yeah.
You're not like, you don't really know who this person is. You're just kind of going with it. And I think as time goes on, I didn't have a ton of respect because I didn't really know who he was.
Yeah.
And nor did I really care at that point. But we ended up coming in and they said, we want $100,000 up front day one and $10.5 million.
For 200 acres.
For 200 acres, no entitlements, close in 30 days. And I'm not going to name names here on the purchasing side, but unfortunately, we did close, and I thought I was on top of the world.
So you structured that entire deal?
Yeah.
With a cold call?
With one phone call.
Holy shit.
23 years old and made over, $100,000 on one transaction with one phone call.
Fuck, that's a great.
And yeah, I went to Vegas and popped champagne. Thought I was so great. And then all of a sudden, market just tanks. And I just bought a house, and I mean, everything was fine for the time being because I didn't quite, the only thing I had ever heard about the market crashing was obviously, 1929 and then, 1985 savings and loans, the guys, that are in the office that have been in the business for a long time. 85 was a tough time for them. So when the market crashed, you and we went to the ranch a bunch. We didn't.
I know, but and everybody that's been in here, we've done, I think it was our 34th podcast or something. Everybody that's been in here has been in business for a while, and they all have a story of 07, 08.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I didn't know the difference. Like you were saying, I didn't know what a market crash was, and I didn't know the difference. And I guess I wasn't watching or listening to the media that much at that time. And I was just hustling for landscaping. So
I was going to say, buddy, you're on that mower.
I know. Maybe, I don't know if it got easier. And really thinking about it now, I thought, well, if the market's really crashing, people are still going to need their lawn mowed. These commercial places, like grandma can't mow the grass. And so I'm sure it affected me in some way or another, but I didn't notice it because I was just hustling.
Yeah.
But I hear the real estate guys now, it's really the real estate people. Well, I heard it from you on a developer that's like, dude, we can't do anything. If we need to buy a broom to clean out our houses, we need permission. And that's how it is right now.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely different. And I almost find it more difficult now than it was back then. But I think again, you and I were on different levels of business too at that point. I mean, it was pretty simple.
Yeah.
We've got lots of things, lots of overhead, lots of kids, other assets that we have to take care of. So it's more complicated. I think it was just when you're younger, you just don't quite understand it.
You're just worried about the weekend.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. So what happened in 07?
So
you're a real estate broker. What happens?
So after that, it slowed down, and I wasn't doing a whole lot, and then all of a sudden, I started to get things got tight, and I was thinking, okay, what am I going to do? And one day, you started to see a lot of toxic debt kind of come into the marketplace. And I didn't really think too much of it, but there was a project that had been sitting on the ground in New Braunfels, which is now called River Mill Crossing. And it was right there off 337, underneath the bridge on the on the west side of. And it had been sitting there for a long time, and I reached out to the owner, who was a Mexican national group out of they're out of Mexico City, but the bank was out of McAllen. And I said, well, can I represent you guys to try to get this thing finished and maybe try to get it sold? Well, lo and behold, the owner takes off to France, and the bank calls and says, he's gone. We don't know what to do. I said, okay. And this was a project that was 90% finished, and there was 100 lots with all the infrastructure down.
When you say finished, you're talking the dirt had been purchased and they had already started putting in roads, utilities. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Yeah. So it was rough cut, and then part of the roads were done. The underground infrastructure, the water and the sewer, the electric, all that was done. It probably needed another, I think it ended up being about $400,000 to finish it.
So it just been sitting there at 90%.
90% just sitting there. And I was trying to finish it for him kind of on a fee basis just to help him out. Because I did have the knowledge at that point from working with Tony and kind of being in the business long enough. I was still a little green, but, and I said, well, and I reached out to some private equity, AKA Daddy.
Yeah.
I said, you think I could borrow a couple $100,000? He goes, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to make a ridiculously dumb offer to this group and to the bank and say, can I buy it from you guys? They had $1.9 million in debt. I bought the whole project for $200,000 and they wrote off the 1.7.
Holy shit. That is awesome.
So when you say, how did you actually make it? That to me was like the pinnacle. So I finished the project. I sold everything. That was my first $1 million.
So you spent $200,000 on what do you think that property was worth at the time?
Whatever anybody would pay for it. That was the thing, was that it was, the banks were writing down stuff so much during that. I mean, the 2008 crash was a financial bank institutional crash. So that's where the banks were just like, let's write it down as much as we can. We'll short sell. They didn't even foreclose. I mean, they could have foreclosed on them and taken it back, but they said, you know what, we'll just take your $200,000, which was, to me, it was a pretty offensive offer. But and when they said yes, I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Holy crap.
Yeah, so
that's in really, people that don't know New Braunfels, it's just in a really busy area, a real good area.
But at the time, which is kind of crazy to think about, the big national builders, you're talking about the Lennar Homes, the D.R. Hortons, the KBs, they were not interested in even touching New Braunfels. And you look at it now, and you can't get them out of there.
I know.
It's like they're swarming it.
So on this property, how did you find that it's River Oaks?
River Mill Crossing.
How did you find out that it was in distress or for sale? Where did you learn that?
Driving by it every day. Driving by it, seeing that it was just sitting there. And then they put those big limestone blocks, the big like 1-ton ones.
Yeah.
They put that across the road in the front. And I'm like, oh man, they obviously don't, people are probably been dumping in there and stuff. So it sat there for several years.
After you got it and closed on it, how long did you have to finish out the roads?
I did.
Because that's another talent that you have. And you're one of the few people that I know that does that. You'll buy raw dirt, prep it, put in the streets, drainage, sewer, and then you'll have it ready to go for a home builder.
Yeah.
So that was your first one on your own?
Yeah. Yeah, that was the first one.
How long did it take you to get it finished? And then who bought it? Can you say that?
Yeah. I think it took, because it was already was already ready for development, and they had already been doing construction. So I didn't have to go through the city. And because the market was in the condition it was in, the cities were begging to get some tax, revenue and everything else, and try to build. So it was really very simple to get that one finished, but it probably took me about 6 months.
That was an easy one then.
Well, it took me 6 months to get it on the ground. And then Bella Vista Homes, if you remember them, they go by a different name now. It's anyhow, they're out of Houston, but they worked with me, and we did we call a lot takedown. So there was 100 lots in there, and we'd sell them about 6 lots per quarter. And so they would slowly build out, and then we put a little interest ticker to carry costs. Yeah,
but that's good for you because it ran for.
Yeah.
And you were in it for, you had to finish out your $200K, and then you finish out the utilities.
Yeah.
So
I was in it for about 600, and then
what was each lot selling for?
You can do the math on 32,000 times 100.
I'm going to go with 3.2 million. That's great. But then, so you just release a lot.
Yeah.
That would be a nice little, how long did the whole project take to fund?
They started going from 6 to 8 to 10 to 12. They were just barreling through it. So it actually went a lot faster.
Like 2 to 3 years?
About 2 years.
Yeah, but you're getting nice checks every couple months.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Everybody should have one of those.
Just that mailbox or that tree that just falls off with those little hundies on it.
But it's but that would have never happened. We talked about that too, is entrepreneurs, people that work for themselves need to be bold. And if you wouldn't have made that phone call, nothing would ever happen.
Yeah. I mean,
nothing.
And that's what any of the new guys, when I say they're new, some of the younger guys are, a lot older than I think they are, but it's like, just make the call.
Yeah.
And after that transaction, I started thinking, I said, okay, I'm going to go after this bank. And I looked at all their assets that they owned everywhere.
How did you do that?
So I went into I looked at their name, which was International Bank, I think was the name. And they're a subsidiary from a bank in Mexico City. It's probably Pablo Escobar's.
Yeah.
That's one thing I was saying. I was like, this guy just ups and disappears and leaves $2 million sitting on the table. Like, who knows? But I looked up the bank and looked at all their assets, and I found out after that that they owned more property around Bexar County and Comal. So I call them up, and
like, we don't want to deal with you anymore, Jack.
Oh, they did. They were happy. This was what's crazy. So then they have another 200 acres down off of Schertz Parkway, which is now the big Amazon plant. So I sold that. I didn't buy that. I sold that though for him with Craig Scott, and we made a bunch of money. And then we just said, okay, well, we're gonna. And they sent us T-shirts, like we're doing them a favor. I'm like, oh my God,
that's a great.
They were the best client ever.
They were happy.
Yeah. So after that, that's pretty much where I said, okay, well now I'm a developer. This is easy. No, never that easy. That was the easiest thing I've ever done. Dang. And it just went boom, 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 got harder and harder. And it's still getting harder. But
I remember running with you to the ranch and stuff with you talking about projects that are taking you 1, 2, 3 years to get anywhere. So run us through one of the stories on something that you found, took a long time and had some speed bumps and finally got it through. And how long did you have to sit on these crappy ones?
Well, gosh, I think some of the hardest ones we've probably sat on for 8 to 10 years.
Holy crap.
Yeah. But again, these are, when it's that, it's, these are partnerships that we put together. And, when we put the partnerships together, it's usually, we don't finance them. So it could be 8, 10, 12 people we put them together. But me personally, when it comes to some of the stuff that I work on myself, I make sure that I have an exit strategy before I even get to the finish line, before I even close on it.
I like to tell people I got 3 ways out on doing things. And typically I do, but sometimes you get stuck.
Yeah.
Are you finding it harder to find deals on land anywhere right now? Or has it always been a task just that you've got to dig for and always look for?
It's definitely hard right now. It's hard because the market got really inflated, and these farmers and these ranchers and everybody out here, if you're in the single family, really anything, even if it's a large commercial deal, but they're all talking to each other, and the numbers got really, really overinflated where they really just didn't make any sense.
So 10 years ago, what could you buy, let's say a 50-acre tract of land for around New Braunfels, like per acre?
15,000.
And what is it now?
50.
So I thought it was like 80 right now, but that's what they're asking.
Yeah. Some people are asking that. I mean, I think if it's a really good piece of property, and it's somewhat entitled, doesn't have any issues. See, that this is the thing. A lot of people don't understand, like, okay, offsites, if you don't have water and sewer tapped right into your property, and if it's not at the right elevation, and there's not capacity in the lines, I mean, there's so many factors, then it's not worth 80. It may not even be worth 30. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's one of the biggest things that people, you know, if the sewer doesn't drain a certain way, you got to put in a lift station. Well, that's $1 million. You know, it's there's all these different factors that a lot of these people that think their property's worth,
they haven't done any research on it.
Oh,
so then you got to go in and do all your research and spend your time, effort, money, and then go, yeah, never mind.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm in a situation right now with my partner, Matt Ballia. We bought 100 acres up in Kyle, just east. I don't know if you know where Euland is. I'm sure you do, because you probably drive by it.
It's spelled funny.
It is. But you know what it is, because you know how to spell.
Yeah. Not really. Spell check works.
Anyhow,
but it's right outside of Kyle.
Yeah, it's right past like the hospitals right there. It's in the path of growth.
Right.
And we've been working with this seller, which had 9 family members, and it took us about a year to get them to agree to sell to us. And we had already met with the purveyor, which is the water and sewer utility company, and they said, "Oh yeah, we're good. We've got capacity. Everything's good. We're ready to go."
They did?
They said they did.
And now?
And then we close, and now we've had it since 22, and we put a lot of cash in this thing, and it's been sitting there because there's no water. And those are the hiccups in those are the risks, you know, that are tough, because you gotta wait for it. And obviously we're getting through that, but it's taken a lot longer than we thought.
So to anybody that wants to do land development for a living, they can't just jump into land development. They've got to have if it's a guy coming out of college, he's got to be able to pay his daily bills. He's got to be able to pay his rent. This is not a short-term deal.
No, it's not. I mean, it's something that, I mean, you can get into the business in certain different avenues.
How?
Okay, one would be civil engineering. You know, if you're graduate from A&M, you know, they've got a ton of good engineers that come out of there. Just about every engineer that we use is from a graduate from A&M. You can get it through the site work side. The D&T construction, the VK Knowltons. You could be a project manager for one of them to kind of get a hold of the ropes. So you don't have to be a quasi developer.
They could go work for a commercial real estate company,
commercial real estate company, and get in it that way too.
What position would they have at a commercial real estate company for a new college graduate?
Associate, just your basic associate. And I mean, that may sound kind of basic, but I mean, it's you got to get in there and learn the ropes, dig, and there'll be some dark days, but it's like, it would be nice to have a little nest egg to fall back on if possible. Because I mean, I know a lot of the guys that work with us, some of them were selling, apartments and stuff, being an apartment sales agent on the side when they weren't working, 2 jobs, stuff like that, because when you do hit a good one, but it's not always there.
A lot of high highs and a lot of low lows in the land development.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I was just like, when people say that, I like to just tell them it's easy. You should go do it.
Yeah, it's simple, man. Anybody could do it.
I love telling people that it's easy, dude. Just go do it. Just go get your 4 restaurants and a bunch of coffee shops and construction. It's easy.
Well, I want to take a second there.
Yeah,
I do not know how you do it, dude. I mean, yeah. Every time I turn around, I always see you doing something else, and I said, "Well, how's he over there in Lubbock?" And then now he's in Port A, and now he's back here doing a podcast with me. Then he's got his kids down in Floresville. Yeah. You're going, like, what are you doing?
Man, I just got the foot on the gas pedal a lot. Just go. And, I think this would be like the land development stuff. Sometimes you got stuff that's just on cruise control at that moment that you don't have to pay attention to. And then you got fires over there. So it's just constantly putting out fires.
Yeah. Yeah, it's constantly put out fires. I mean, I got one that's ablazing about a quarter mile from here.
Yeah.
And it's actually going on right now. I'm actually going to go over there right after this. But
well, hopefully the one over here sells. Seguin is busy.
It is. I've got 2 projects here. The one over there, have you driven by it? The Sunsets at Barbarossa?
I don't know where it's at.
It's at Huber Road in 758.
Where's 758?
You know where the old Barbarossa trough?
Yeah.
Well, you know how they picked it up and moved it?
Oh, that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's right there at the intersection. So I have 50 acres there, and I sold 3 acres to the county for a new fire station, and then I've got 19 kind of large lots that are going in that will have some. Probably, I don't quite have a home builder picked out yet, but we're going to have that on the ground here pretty soon.
So you'll find the home builder and then sell the entire project to them?
Now, this one, because it's a kind of a larger lot deal, I'm going to do it on a takedown. Let them build, like 1 or 2 at a time, and kind of, and also, if the market was a little bit warmer, I could probably shove it down their throat, but...
Do you think
I'm trying to be fair, Tom? I'm trying to be fair.
Yeah. Well, you can hit a home run once with someone, or you can keep hitting doubles with them the rest of your life.
And that's the way my relationships is one of the things that I'm pretty proud that I've kept with, from the contractors to the city, different municipalities. I'm not sure if they say things about me behind closed doors, because I am a developer, which we all get, looked at a little bit.
I don't know why. I was trying to build stuff and make some money.
Hey, someone's going to do it.
I know. I don't see why they would get a bad name. How has your experience been working with all of these different municipalities?
It's been good. I typically have not had any issues with, mayors or city council people, and New Braunfels and Seguin mainly. Judge Kutcher here is great, which he is stepping down. I don't know if you saw that today in the paper.
I didn't see.
Yeah, great guy. But it's been good. I mean, I think you need to have a mutual respect for those people and what they do.
What is your strategy for working with those guys? Just do what they say and
not always do what they say. I mean, because there's the legal aspect of things, especially now, there's a lot of things that are being passed in Congress and stuff that's changing, the control aspect of you can only do this here. And now, Congress saying, no, you can't do it. It's not in the ETJ or whatever. It's just, there's these different things that are happening, but mainly just work with them because you want to get it done. But if you're
but a lot of them are really hard-headed.
Oh yeah. So, well, some of them are the people that I have the biggest problems with are typically the inspectors. They'll come in and say, you did this wrong, rip it up. And then, that's 50,000 here. Rip that up, redo it. I'm like, come on.
I know.
I'm like, I built it to spec, which you guys signed off on.
Yes.
And it's just like what you signed off on, but you're saying you won't sign off on it now unless I do it. And if I fight back, then I have to
the next project is going to suck.
Yeah.
For you.
Or I'm set back another 6 months because I'm arguing with you. It's like going through, well, we both know how that is, like a tough divorce.
Yeah.
So it's like, you don't want to fight. You just want to make it amenable and just try to get through the project, make everybody happy.
I feel like I've said this. They say the city, the inspectors, they're like the business partner you never wanted. And you're in bed with them no matter what.
Yeah.
You have no choice. And then it might be Frank, the inspector, says this. Carl, the inspector, says this. And it's like, well, who's going to show up?
Yeah. And, it's tough sometimes because, they're there working. And I know these people are just working for the city. They're municipal workers. They're not there breaking the bank.
Yeah.
They're just trying to get a paycheck. So a lot of times they don't give to, and they just shuffle that paper around. And
then they have zero liability on what we do.
Yeah.
So we're building airplane hangars right now, inspections on, all the inspections, framing, forming, electrical, pre-post, everything, right? But when they leave, they have zero liability on any of this. How is that fair? None. No liability.
Which is kind of weird too. Yeah, because they're the ones that are supposed to inspect. So what if something wasn't done right?
It's not their problem.
They don't care, right?
It's annoying as shit.
Yeah. I mean, you got to take the good with the bad, but I think it's gotten a lot harder because in Central Texas, especially in where we're working here in Seguin and New Braunfels, with the amount of growth that we're seeing, I think everybody, the city and the inspectors and the approvals are like, we don't give a shit. We don't care. We're too busy. We're just moving on to the next one. So everything is being pushed out and it's taking way longer than it used to. Which I figured this was going to happen here. I bought a tract down there in town. It's called Meadows of Martindale.
How do y'all come up with the name on these freaking things?
Well, all the streets in there are all my dead dogs.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's good.
Dino, Saxton, Marty.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah. And most of a lot of my streets are from my daughter, Rowan. And then I put Ray, Sunset's Ray, Rowan Ray is her middle name. It's hard to come up with. Like all my nieces and nephews, I think my next subdivision is going to be Bonner.
You should.
Just Bonner Place.
You should. You should.
But yeah, you can, as long as there's not a street name or a subdivision name that's in that county, you can name it whatever you want.
I always wondered how they got that. Well, you've had a lot of highs and lows on the development stuff, and it's a stressful job. You could go from, like I tell the story, I was doing these apartment complexes, landscaping, and one day, payroll's about to be due. And I think I was going to miss payroll. I was pretty close. And the next day, I had $495,000 in my bank account. So it's been a lot of highs and a lot of lows. How do you deal with the stress of running a business? This is called a transition, Jack.
Do you really want to know?
Well, how have you dealt with it, and tell us what you've gone through on some of this shit.
Well, I mean, when things aren't going right, it's obviously, I think things get stressful. I mean, I try not to psych myself out too much, I mean, and I try not to, I'm very much like you. I don't want to sit still. I don't want to sit still. And sometimes the market's like telling me you're gonna have to, buddy. Like there's nothing you can do right now. But at the same time, do
you think when the market tells you, hey, there's like, when you don't know what to do, you do something, right? You always keep moving. You can't just sit there.
Yeah, you try to think outside the box, and say, okay, well, there's got to be something.
Have you ever really been stuck in a corner that you just like, dude, there's nothing we can do? Or are you always getting creative?
I would say always trying to get creative. I would think more recently, this has probably been one of the harder times out of the 20 years I've been doing business that's been hard to get creative. But I also stepped out of the box and said, okay, well, I'm going to put lots on the ground. No one else is doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the one thing that people are actually wanting, that a lot of developers are not taking the risk to actually do it. But yeah, it's a little tough right now. But I mean, in terms of dealing with the stress, I mean, yeah, I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday, and he was saying that he's so jealous of his wife when he goes, I'm going to go to bed, honey. And then like 30 seconds later, she's snoring, and he's just sitting there with the lights off. He goes, I've been trying to do is counting backwards from 100. And he goes, and it takes so long, and I get to 0, and I say, damn it, it didn't work. Because I can't. He goes, I just have insomnia. That's one thing, is just like, only thing I can say about that is try to focus on your mental health, and try to stay positive. Because I mean, it can drag you down. It can drag you down real fast.
Yeah.
So, but that's what's happening in our society, man. I mean, it's just like, when things don't get good, and especially with the younger generation, because they're kind of lazy. I'm not gonna lie. For all those people out there, sorry about that.
Well, I've heard this a bunch in the millennial crowd. I put them up against anybody. You just got to dig through the right ones.
Yeah.
And that's probably the same as people that were our age. I mean, we had a lot of lazy people. We're still lazy now. So you just got to find the good ones. But you wanted to talk about mental health stuff and some stuff that you have been through. And I kind of you were talking about it last night on the phone a little bit, and I wanted to dig deeper into it, and I didn't want you to spoil it all last night. So that's why I was like, all right, tell me about it tomorrow. But you had an experience where you went down to Mexico. How did this all start, and where did you decide? And tell us, for anybody, what was it?
The place I went to was in Cancun, and this all started from a little bit of when you said, like, when you get into some trauma and stress and stuff like that. I'm not going to get into the details of the personal things that I was going through, but there were some stressful things that were starting to happen, and I just felt like I needed to get away and do something. And I listened. Listen and read up, Joe Rogan plugs the ibogaine treatment.
What is ibogaine?
Ibogaine is it's a plant from the iboga tree that's only grown in a certain area in the Congo, and the substance from the tree was used in ancient times for over 2,000 years in the tribes in Africa. It's a hallucinogenic, but it's also supposed to dig into your brain and kind of reset, if you will. I mean,
a reset would be good.
And that's basically what it did. I mean, it was a hard reset. God.
Smashing the Nintendo button.
Like 100 times. But it's it's for mental health. It's been a big proponent with like Governor Abbott and Rick Perry, and these guys are trying to get it legalized. It's not legalized in the United States. A lot of people say, oh, it's like ayahuasca, kind of, kind of the same thing, but it's not legal here. So you got to go to either like Tijuana or Cancun. I went to a place in Cancun called Beyond.
And then what do they do?
Well, I spent 2 weeks there. The first week is literally, you get there, you have no idea what the heck's going on.
Is that it? So is it like a treatment facility?
It's a treatment deal. And the people in there, lots of PTSD, guys from military combat. I was in there with a couple of Navy SEALs. I'm not going to name names, but some, senators, some pretty, people you would never meet on the street. Let's just put it that way. And then some people that were very highly educated CEOs and stuff that were battling, fentanyl addictions and opioids and kratom. I mean, just, and
kratom, the legal substance.
The legal substance.
They get addicted to that.
They get like really bad.
Oh,
and a lot of time it's because they're either heroin addicts and they need something else because they can't get it, so they get moved to kratom, and it's just as addictive. And then, guys, I don't know if you've ever heard of Suboxone.
Mm-mm.
That is a medically prescribed drug for people that are heroin addicts. And I met a guy in there that had been on Suboxone for like 12 years. The United States of America, the pharmacies are giving him this stuff. And it's more addictive than any drug out there, which Big Pharma I think, needs to be held accountable for some of this shit.
Dude, that's
crazy.
A whole nother long story. Pushing pills.
Yeah. I mean, it was a very, to be honest, I felt like I was a kindergartner in like the 6th grade class, because I'm like, oh, I like to drink a little booze. Everybody there is like, but so, I went down there kind of open-minded. A friend of mine who I won't name, we actually had done it previously, and he came back and was just like, poof. I'm like, wow, you look great. You seemed great. And he was. And so I just didn't even think twice. I was just like, put me on a plane. I'm going down. And you get in there and there's a lot of meditation, a lot of mental health coaching. But it's like the first week is just completely, getting your mind straight and trying to find your intentions of why you're there.
Classes, groups,
classes.
No fun. What was the drug name?
Ibogaine.
And so there's none of that for the first week.
No. And then when you're ready to go in, they call it the flood dose. And it's a very kind of medicine, like, they put the smoke all around you, and they,
Really?
Oh yeah.
Are you going, holy shit?
Well, I'm like, okay, what? I'm like, I'm ready, fine, like whatever. It's not gonna be a big deal. And then you go in this dark room, and there's like laser beams all over the place, and they put you in a hospital bed, and they put EKGs on you. They give you your monitor. There's doctors all around you, and they come with this bowl. And you take these Ibogaine pills, and about 45 minutes later, poof, you gone. And it was probably the wildest. It was a 12-hour experience.
Holy crap!
Very, very difficult. But you can. It's like unlocking your brain, and your mind is like a web browser, and you're just going through your subconscious from things that you saw maybe when you were a kid to things that were tough things that were fun. You can do whatever you want, but you have to be able to control it. And some people had some pretty bad experiences. A lot of people that you know, had a lot of trauma in their life. I mean, the things that I was dealing with were not nearly kind of the things I think I heard from some other people, but it was almost like writing your own movie script. It was fun.
Can you change your thoughts and go to wherever you wanted to be while you're on it?
Yeah. So that was one of the craziest things was when I first started. You know, I'll just give you a brief synopsis of like but it first started. I'm in a car and I'm going down the 405. I'm like, what? And it's very vivid. It's like a 4K movie, but in your mind, and you can see it and almost reach out and touch it. And I see my family, like on every overpass, there's like a 3D image of each of my parents and, you know, my daughter and siblings, stuff like that. And then it just goes away. So it's like, and then you go poof and you're gone. And then you're just flipping through, like, it's like you can't make it stop. And then you stop and then you're, you know, I'm on a beach in Thailand. I try to tell myself, like, just go somewhere nice. I'm on a beach in Thailand and I see a buddy of mine, Albert Benavides. He's like the only guy I saw.
God knows what he would be doing.
Well, he was actually, I go, you want to race? And I mean, this is how vivid it was that I'm racing. He just comes floating up next to me. And I'm like, I'm way faster than you. And he's just got a joint in his mouth. And he just blows it in my face. And he goes, see ya. And then, like, I just go poof. And next thing you know, I was like, okay, I want to go drive a Formula One car. I'm in the cockpit. The lights are going blink, blink, blink. Pow. And I'm hauling ass down the racetrack. And I take a right and it goes poof. And it's gone. I'm like, damn it. I wanted to stay there.
Dang.
Yeah. And then I got to go, I was on a CSI movie set in New York City for a little bit. Not going to get into details on that one. That's pretty weird.
Can you tell that the people are still in the room with you?
So for the first like 4 or 5 hours, you can't, or I couldn't, you know, it just depends on how everybody had a different experience. But you know, after about 4 or 5 hours, I finally, I did wake up for a second and then I said, okay, well, I need to go back down. And then I was like, well, try to dig a little deeper and like, so like what you really want to, like, stop having fun. Like, cause all you're doing is just traveling around doing stuff, you know, and which I kind of wish I would have, but you know, there was a couple of like, beautiful moments, with like my daughter and, but like, you know, it just, I think it's different for everybody. You know, there's a couple of dark moments and like, but all in all, it was a crazy experience. It was very difficult. Like after, like just physically, when you get done, it's like, whoa, but then you're laser sharp afterwards.
For how long?
Well, it takes like a day to recover, but then you're, it's weird because like you don't, you know, they come back and they ask you a bunch of questions. Like, do you have any need or want for drug abuse or alcohol abuse, or do you feel weird? You know? It's like, no, I feel great. Like everything's fine. And that lasts for a long time. And then you do another, 2 doses that are not as intense, to kind of like re-up on it. But it definitely clears your mind. Especially if you're battling just anything, depression, anger, you know, addiction, stuff like that. It's good for all of it. And I'll tell you one thing, our troops, it's helped the military and these guys that have PTSD a lot. And they're building a brand new facility adjacent to the one they have now just for them, which is fantastic.
I didn't even really, you know, mental health is a myth if you haven't had really any issues. You know, we all battle our day-to-day stuff, but then it can get bad. And I never had anything. And then I got anxiety and I couldn't sleep. And I was talking to a buddy of mine. I'm like, dude, this is jacked up. I'm like nervous about this. I cannot fall asleep. And this is going on for days. Like there's nothing to worry about. And here I am freaking out over this shit. And it lasted, I mean, I didn't It lasted probably 2 months, 3 months. And I'd call my sister. I'm like, this is whack. And she's like, yeah, now you know what I'm talking about. And so it is a big deal. What have you seen, not only just with yourself, but with other people? How did the treatment help them afterwards? What was the difference before and then post treatment?
I haven't really. The only person that I've actually stayed in touch with a few of them. I mean, but I don't know on a day-to-day basis really how they're doing. I know some of them I've heard have relapsed, into like the guys are battling a lot of drug addiction. I mean, I think that's the biggest problem is the fentanyl situation is just, it's terrible.
I'm surprised that people want to mess with any of these drugs knowing that they could get a bad one and they're done.
And they're done.
Just done. And I don't see why.
I don't know.
It doesn't make sense to me, but I'm not in their shoes.
Yeah. I mean, I think on my end of it, it definitely cleared my mind, opened me up to some of the frustrations that I was having with really pretty much myself. I mean, there were some outside indicators to push me to do that. But I kind of just jumped in. I didn't really, I just was like, I'm just going to go and just try this out. I didn't know I was getting into.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I did. And I think it's I think it's a wonderful experimental thing that they're doing. And I know that a lot of people, between Senate, Congress, and people around the country are trying to get it brought in here. But because who doesn't want it? Big Pharma.
Uh-huh.
They don't want to treat you. They want to give you the drugs.
They don't
want you to eat a plant.
I know. I don't get the other thing I don't get that really bothers me is the cancer shit.
That's it.
And
to me, I don't want to be a conspiracist, but I mean, I really think that they're hiding this shit from us.
I do too.
Because they make gazillion dollars from giving it to people as they die. It's terrible.
And I have a buddy he is as tough as you can get. I mean, this dude is hardcore and he's got cancer right now. He's beating it. It's come back. But you see him after chemo and he's getting nailed. And with all the money for researching this, you can have AIDS now and you don't have AIDS. They can cure it. How can they not cure cancer? But they do say that those cells replicate and grow in all kinds of different ways that they just can't ever get a hold of. I still don't believe it.
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say, but I think a lot of it has to do with that. I mean, that's just.
I wonder what percent of GDP and large companies the pharma is. Like it's a huge amount. It's massive.
Yeah. They control probably a majority of it.
Well, we've learned a lot about you today, Mr. Scanio, and enjoyed your story. I have always a few closing questions. You've been very successful in the land development business. But it's not easy. Not at all. You've had lots of up and downs. So, what would you say to an entrepreneur in any business about how their journey is going to be? Keep going, keep fighting. Yeah.
I mean, it's always going to be tough. And I think a lot of it's going to depend on market indicators. But either way, if you get knocked off, you got to get back on and keep going. So it's tough. Don't put too much pressure on yourself because it is a very high pressure business, and there's some great ups and there's some really low lows, like you said. I mean, so it's one of those things where you just got to stay positive and keep driving.
Yeah. And then, what does success look like to you personally?
Lake houses and ranches and stuff.
And stuff.
I like toys.
Time with your kid.
Yeah, no, you know what it is? It's It's me being able to take my daughter to the coast.
Into the ranch.
Into the ranch and take her to Formula One on Saturday, which we're about to do.
Yeah.
Being able to provide. That's pretty much it. Just and have a. I don't need a yacht. I don't need a Ferrari. I don't need a Rolex. I'd like one though.
Wouldn't it be cool though
to have a yacht and a Rolex and a Ferrari?
You have to have.
What about a helicopter too on the top?
Well, here's the thing.
Okay, now we're getting.
This happened the other day. I got to ride in a turbine-powered helicopter. I've flown a couple of piston-powered helicopters, but I went in one with a jet engine the other day.
Where was that? Here?
Yeah.
Who's got one here?
I'm not going to say
that. Okay, cool.
But you talk about a badass experience.
I'll bet.
It was just like being on an elevator and pointing where you want to go. I didn't feel like the piston power one, like kind of clanky and
this is just like a smooth operator.
Yeah, real smooth. It was badass. So the helicopter should come before the yacht. Whoever's working hard for that, but you'd have to make so much money for a yacht, and you'd probably only use it like 2 or 3 weeks out of the year. Can't even get to the ranch when we want to go. And all I want, I'm happy that I got a 79 John Deere tractor with good AC to shred at the ranch. That's all I want to do is go run equipment. That's what success looks like to me.
To me too. I just want an enclosed track steer with a grapple bucket and maybe another, couple of things that can move stuff around with.
Yeah, bulldozer. And then I think one of the final questions I like is, what advice would you give to 20-year-old Jack Scanio? What would you say now to that kid being through what you've been through?
I'm not really sure, Tom. That's kind of an interesting question. I would say
I dig deep here.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I'd say when things get good, don't take it for granted. Yeah. Just be humble. Because 20-year-old Jack Scanio he's maybe a little cockier than he should have been. Not saying that I'm not now, but I'm definitely not who I was.
But I think you learn we're driven people, right? Mm-hmm. If we want something, we go get it.
Yeah.
Well, you went and got a land deal. You made a call and placed with a billionaire. Well, you naturally at that age want a new truck. Or you want to do this, or you want to do that. And that shit ends up never making you happy. So your wants at this age change,
Well, yeah, I think it's that too. And also, and I think I know it goes for you, and it definitely goes for me and any of those younger people out there, is that you're going to have to jump in the water. You're going to have to take the chance at some point or another. So just, because failure is part of it. I mean, I know this is kind of everyone says it. Well, you got to fail to win.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but it's true. You do. So you will fail without a doubt. Hopefully not too bad, but
we fail as we go. Over the past 20 years that you've been doing these things, you haven't won on every single one, and it's impossible. And that goes from we would do landscape jobs. A lot of them we make money. Some of them we lose money.
Yeah.
But over the period, as long as the trend is up, you'll be all right. If the trend is down, you need to switch careers. We haven't had anybody on here that the trend is just down.
I'm too stubborn to just switch careers at this age.
I know. I think that's why I have 900 jobs. I like doing different shit. So, well, we have enjoyed your story. Is there anything else that you would like to add for us today? Where could people find you if they want to do a land deal?
Well, First American Commercial Property Group in San Antonio. That's my office. That's where I office out of. But that would be probably the place to call if you want any references.
Are you looking for land deals, or only if they're like a $2 million plot of land you could get for $200,000?
No. Yeah, we're always looking. I mean, we're opportunistic. I mean, it's not. I'm in a real big sale mode right now, but I mean, if there's a good deal to be made, not necessarily if it's me, it could be another group of people that we work with, and we can put a deal together and obviously, work out the fee basis, or if you're a realtor, we can work a commission deal. We're very easy to work with. Great company. We've been around we're privately held, the brokerage company. We've been there for over 45 years.
All those guys have been there. Are they still eating lunch at Posh on the 1604? I haven't been invited in a while.
The problem is that El Mirasol opened and they have margaritas, so it's been really bad. They've gotten real bad about that.
They got good margaritas.
They do. It's not good for lunch though.
Dang. Well, I appreciate you taking your time out of your day and coming and doing this. It's been fun.
Pleasure, Tommy T.
We'll see you around the bend.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks for watching Business Under Fire. We'd love it if you would share, like, and subscribe. See you next time.